Okay, guys, you ready? We have here our voting session today, March 13th. We have about, was it 20 bills on the docket today? We'll be starting off with House Bill 149.
House Bill 149 is a fire safety bill. It adds licensing requirements for people who monitor and test fire safety equipment other than sprinklers. Sprinklers are already licensed. And it adds training standards for fire safety officials. There's an amendment that addresses some of the concerns that were raised by AOBA and a few others. They're mostly technical, Maryland State Police, mostly technical. So I move the amendments, move it favorable with amendments. It came out of subcommittee favorable with amendments, so I move the bill favorable with amendments.
There's been a motion in favor with amendments and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell?
Yes.
Delegate Pruski?
Aye.
Delegate Howard?
Yes.
Delegate Johnson?
Aye.
Delegate Boffo?
Aye.
Delegate Bhandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers?
Yes.
Delegate Cheese excused. Delegate Arentz?
Yes.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. 17 passes. House Bill 149 passes. House Bill 168.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 168 is housing and community development, affordable housing, educator workforce housing, and municipal corporations. This bill is a goal to create more housing opportunities for our amazing teachers throughout the state. Establishes that providing educator workforce housing is an eligible use of certain financial assistance provided by the Department of Housing and Community Development. Establishes that teachers and other employees of school of a local school system shall be considered a specified group for the purposes of certain housing programs, and alters the eligible recipients of certain financial assistance. There were several amendments to resolve conflicts of interest between the state level programs and the federal government, clarifies how construction is prioritized, and is refined the focus on the HIP. It came out of committee with a lot of love, and I guess I'll move to,
Move favorable with amendments.
There's been a motion of favorable with amendments and second on House Bill 168. Any discussion? Delegate Pippy.
So I'm not seeing a fiscal note, and I mean, is this just making that concept, housing for educators, as a potential eligibility within an existing program? So is that fair to say?
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Teachers need housing, and it's, just trying to create a pathway to create more housing for our amazing teachers.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner?
Yes.
Delegate Fennell?
Yes.
Delegate Pruski?
Aye.
Delegate Howard?
Yes.
Delegate Johnson? Delegate Boffo? Delegate Bhandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers?
Yes.
Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Arentz?
Yes.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. 16 passes. House Bill 313.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 313, this is a tenant screening bill. Prohibits the landlord from collecting an application fee unless the rental unit is available or will become available within 30 days of receiving the application. Requires the landlord to provide certain written disclosures before accepting an application of a screening fee. Prohibits the landlord from taking certain adverse actions against a prospective tenant unless the landlord provides certain written notice to the prospective tenant. Prohibits the landlord from taking certain actions related to certain records. And those records, I think the main thing was those records that where there was no, you might have been, someone might have brought an action against you, but if there was no formal decision made, then you could not use that in the screening process. There was an amendment. DHCD is required to create a form that includes tenant screening information, the maximum fee they can charge for the report, and contact information related to the tenant screening report. The bill came out of subcommittee favorable with those amendments.
There's been a motion of favorable with amendment and a second on House Bill 313. Any discussion? Delegate Adams.
Thank you. Just two quick questions. On page 4 of the bill, line 26, it says a prospective tenant shall be allowed to dispute the information in a tenant screening report. So the question I have is, you've got a series of tenants, a landlord's picking one of these tenants, the one that they didn't choose, the tenant disputes it. What is the resolution for a dispute? If a unit's already being occupied, a landlord's made a decision, probably had a lease signed, and here comes the dispute.
Oh, so make sure I understand you're asking the question. So there's a unit available, you have 5 applications, the landlord chose one of the 5, and one of the other 5 who didn't get the pick is making a dispute.
Yes.
I think, so what do they dispute? They're disputing on the screening? I think the dispute is over the screening process, not the dispute over if you were chosen. So if the landlord came back and said, you know, I pulled these, you have 8 infractions, you have 3 situations where a landlord said that you were brought to court or whatever for not paying your rent. However, there was no decision made, like it was resolved without anything. That would be the situation where they can say, well, you shouldn't have been able to use those examples against me. That would be a dispute you could bring. And counsel, correct me if I'm wrong, but you couldn't get in your example. The landlord can choose from the 5 that they can choose the tenant that they want to choose. But if they let the tenant know you cannot apply for this, or you're removing your application because of these infractions that we found, if those infractions didn't have a conclusion, you can't use them against them. If someone just filed something against you, but there's never actual action made, then you can't use that. So it's kind of the way I think of it is innocent until proven guilty. There was no proof that you actually did anything wrong. Just it was a claim. Okay. So in other words, what you're saying is a dispute doesn't equal because there is a part of the bill that goes to, a violation of the subsection, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, if you're the tenant who's disputing this, a dispute is 2 parties disagree. Mm-hmm. How do you reconcile the disagreement? Because it appears that a dispute, unless I'm misreading the bill, the only way to resolve the dispute is for there to be a proceeding and a civil penalty, and that implies court. So is that how all these disputes will be resolved in court? My reading is that as such. I will turn it over to counsel to provide any other commentary.
Okay, thank you. So the provision about allowing the tenant to dispute the information, that's within the same subsection where they are receiving notice about the basis for the adverse action. So I think in practice, they're receiving that notice. The tenant's allowed to provide information that may be valid and justifiable to dispute that. And because of the underlying penalty provision at the end of the bill that you had cited, that is something that applies when there's been the violation of the substantive provision, as it would relate to taking adverse action based on shielded records or relying on unshielded records that don't have the outcome of the claim, of which do not actually indicate a specific outcome, so they shouldn't be relied on. So that's kind of how I think that would work in practice.
Okay, so the dispute that's on page 4 is different than a adverse action, because the dispute doesn't, my concern is that you're going to have these 5 folks, one's going to be told yes, they come in to sign the lease, are ready to go, and then one of the other 4 gets really upset, hey, you shouldn't have done that, and here's my information to tell you guys as the landlord why you're wrong. But the resolution at that point is not to say, well, okay, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. We're going to have to stop renting to tenant 1 who we said yes to and now rent to the other tenant. That's where I'm concerned that there's going to be anger, a dispute, and is that dispute, I mean, we're saying dispute under the bill. I just don't know how you reconcile a dispute. I mean, because at that point, if somebody disputes it, they give it to me as a landlord, well, okay, fine, but I've already rented it to somebody else. I mean, that's my rub. So unless there's a good answer for it, I guess I'm just going to say that we probably should clean that up a little bit.
Thank you. I do think there's a distinction based on where it's written in the code that it's saying to the landlord, you have to give them the right to say to you, I think you got it wrong, look at this information here. I don't think that it disputes the final decision of the landlord. I just think that's because what we're laying out in this code is we're saying, here's the procedure that you have to follow, here's what you can consider, here's what you can't consider. And once you consider it, you got to give them a chance to say, sorry, I think you got that wrong. And does that seem right? And so it's not a dispute about who got into the property.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's a dispute where it's the tenant, prospective tenant is allowed to dispute, but if there's
It's to the landlord, like the landlord has to give them a chance to say something back, I think is what it's saying.
within a certain amount of time before they lease the property? Or does it not matter because the dispute is only a dispute and they're allowing the prospective tenant that got the adverse action to make a dispute, but it doesn't follow that all of a sudden some decision changes? So
That's my read on it, is a chance to correct inaccuracies.
This is the application process, not the files.
Yep, and to try to helpfully answer that as best I can, I would say the landlord can't take adverse action against a prospective tenant unless they're providing them written notice, which includes the specific reasons for the adverse action. So that's sort of like the timing part. And then so my understanding is because based off its location within that same subsection, that the prospective tenant, once they're receiving this notice, is allowed to dispute it at that time. It's not holding anything up, but it's the opportunity for the tenant to provide information, and then, yeah.
Delegate Aarons and then Delegate Howard.
I guess one of the biggest problems here is the rental market right now is extremely competitive. And when you have a rental sitting out there, you may get 6 or 7 applications. And by doing what Delegate Adams was talking about, if somebody feels cheated, you are now locking that property up. A lot of these people aren't mega renters, they're people that have one unit. And if we allow something like this to be disputed, now you have a time lapse. That somebody has to file something, somebody has to do this. So that property will remain vacant for some time, could remain vacant for some time. All because we're giving people, well, you know what, you didn't get it, you think you deserve it, now I can file a complaint, and you're locking up the landlord. And I don't think, in consideration of the landlord, you're gonna find other things, the unintended consequence of that is gonna be, I just don't think the bill's workable in the sense that you're really holding things back. And we're once again going after a landlord who's providing the house. Maybe there is malice in some of these things, I don't know that. I haven't seen it, but I think by giving the opportunity to a competitive market, you will see a lot of ramifications for this because people will get upset. That's why I'll be a no on the bill. How's that?
Delegate Howard.
I just wanted to ask where the realtors were on this after it's been amended.
The amendments that were offered put them at neutral according to my understanding. So I think I'm getting a head nod back here. So they were originally opposed, and there was a lot of work between the bill sponsor and all the groups, and they are now neutral. And I do want to add some color to what was previously said, just to make sure people understand that this is the application process, not the process where you actually are now making the decision. So it's just an application process. And I think the assumption that every space that is now available is currently empty. Most landlords are preparing the next lease while the current lease is ending. So there's that time frame. I don't know if that's always going to be applicable. But at the end of the day, I think the purpose of the bill, we do have a tight market of housing, right? But I think that if someone has never had an adverse action outcome for them, that shouldn't hold them back from getting housing. And I think the goal of this bill is to ensure that you might have been, someone might have had an action against you, could have been a malicious landlord, could have been a weird situation, but it was all rectified. But because it was written as there was an action brought against you, it shouldn't be held against you in perpetuity whenever you're applying for housing, because we know it's a tight housing market. So just make sure people have access to housing if they haven't been a bad actor based on any outcomes.
I understand the premise, but I would just refer
No,
back
yeah.
to what, quite frankly, Delegate Aaron's was saying, so.
Delegate Aaron's?
First of all, I appreciate the realtors and what they do, but they're not necessarily out there selling homes and renting homes, leasing homes. And I do appreciate what you said, that sometimes I do put my right, I know you're leaving or you're coming or going, but that whole process, you're dragging something out that will affect the outcome of the home. It can affect it. And I appreciate the bill, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I think this is gonna adversely affect realtors and actually people trying to rent a property.
Got it.
Delegate Adams?
Just on the bill real quickly. So this is the crux of the problem. You know, all landlords screen. All landlords want to make a good decision. That's what happens when there is a dispute. Because based on what I'm hearing, because we're silent as to the amount of time that a tenant is allowed to make that dispute, in theory, we might be saying, okay, that, hey, you're making a decision on a vacant unit or even one that's not vacant, and that decision should allow somebody to dispute. What I'm saying is, under the bill, without some amendment that does this, you're giving them no time frame to dispute. They could come back 2 months later and say, you know what, I'm mad about that decision, I'm disputing it, and all I'm saying is that if there's no way to reconcile the dispute, and because there's no time frame to allow a tenant to make that dispute, I think you're creating a unworkable bill. That's my 2 cents on it, and I'll stop there.
Thank you, Delegate Adams. Seeing no further discussion, there was a favorable with amendment and second on House Bill 313. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard? No. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Boifo? Aye. Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Yes. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
No.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Amprey?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
No.
Delegate Pippy? No. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? No. Delegate Wyval? No. Delegate Roberts is excused. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chair votes aye. 11, House Bill 313 passes with 11. I just want to flip back, not anything major. I just want to be on the record. House Bill 149, I said it passed by 17, but it's 16. House Bill 149 passed with 16. House Bill 315.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 315, discrimination in housing, income-based housing subsidies, providing that a certain landlord may not refuse to rent a prospective tenant who pays rent with the assistance of an income-based housing subsidy under certain circumstances, providing that a certain landlord may collect financial information from a prospective tenant under certain circumstances, and that a violation is subject to enforcement by MCCR. And this bill came out favorable with amendments from subcommittee. Some of the amendments were: a landlord may not refuse to rent to a prospective tenant who pays rent with the income-based subsidy or credit history under certain conditions. The landlord may collect financial information. The landlord can still use the tenant's financial information if the landlord receives funding from an agency that requires income qualification. What these amendments essentially do, and what the bill essentially does, I know we already passed previous bills around ensuring that you cannot discriminate based on source of income, but what this does is we know that individuals may have a certain credit history before they got the subsidy. So now that they're getting subsidized and getting support, they now have a new financial outlook and a new financial setup, and that the landlord should be looking at those reports since then. So you can't look at, what this bill essentially saying is you can't look at credit reports or certain situations before you got the subsidy, because now you essentially have that hopefully corrected. But if there's any infractions that happened after the subsidy, that can definitely be used in the screening process for the landlord to assess whether or not the person is financially responsible. So that's what the bill does. Came out of a committee favorable with amendments. Subcommittee favorable with amendments.
There's been a motion of favorable with amended, as amended, and a second on House Bill 315. Any discussion? Seeing none.
everybody was
Vice
happy
Chair?
with this
Yes.
Delegate Turner?
And make sure everybody was.
Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard? Delegate Johnson? Delegate Buafo? Delegate Bandari? Delegate Rogers? Delegate Cheese excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Amprey?
Yes.
Delegate Adams? I'm sorry. No. Delegate Pippy? No. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval? Delegate Roberts is excused. Chair votes aye. House Bill 315 passes with 11. House Bill 543.
House Bill 543 prohibits a landlord from prohibiting a tenant from running a family daycare in rental property. The daycare would still have to comply with all of the state rules and regulations for family daycare, and a landlord does have the ability to require additional insurance and also has the ability to add requirements to the security deposit. The bill was moved favorable out of subcommittee. I move the bill favorable.
There's been a motion favorable and second on House Bill 543. Delegate Adams.
In the hearing, the concern about these single-family homes that are on septic system. Septic systems are designed and sized for the size home that's being built, or if they're remodeling or they're replacing the septic system, however number of bedrooms there are. And so when you start creating these commercial operations, notwithstanding my general support for the idea that we need childcare, and homes often are the right answer for this, what happens when a person sets up a childcare and then over-occupies the unit and the septic system fails? Who's responsible for the repair or replacement of a septic system? Because you're violating occupancy limitations by passing this bill.
Madam Chair? I would just highlight that there are sort of occupancy requirements that are associated with the family daycare rules that the state has, right? So this has to be certified. So it's not like you can just then take 27 children into a home. You know, it's based on the square footage. So I think that there's still going to be limitations as to the number of children that can be added into that home based on the state's requirements, based on square footage. And then I think the additional requirements related to insurance and related to security deposit start to get at the issue of kind of potential additional wear and tear.
There's just no way a security deposit's going to pay for a $20,000, $30,000 septic system replacement. So what I'm saying, if I'm saying anything, is that a house that's being rented, a 3-bedroom house, normal occupancy is 2 people per bedroom. So this is a tenant that, in theory, could have 2, 4, 6 tenants living there during the day, on the weekends, at night. These are people that live there. And then during the day, because we heard this during testimony, that the child care could be 8 or 12, depending on the classification or license they get. So now we're talking about a real problem, because now you're talking about 6 people that live there plus 8 or 12 additional children using a septic system. And I will proffer that a septic system replacement is a $20,000 to $30,000 expense. If you're a landlord, you don't get to use the Bay Restoration Fund to replace it because you're not using it for personal use. And therefore, that's a number that's untenable. And it's probably one of the reasons why landlords probably won't allow this to happen. So I also bring up the issue about insurance. And my concern about insurance is that it's great. Okay, we're going to require it. And yes, in the bill, you say that the landlord is not liable if the tenant lets their insurance lapse. And even if I agree to disagree on the principle that the landlord can't really get in front of an insurance company without some risk of saying the tenant's responsible for paying for their insurance, but what happens when they don't? Because I know that it'll subrogate back to the landlord insurance company. My concern has more to do with the children that the insurance is meant to protect. And so in a housing situation, some child gets seriously injured or killed. Insurance is supposed to resolve that financially for the party, that is the mom and dad that brought their kids to let them go to that daycare. And what I'm saying is that there's going to be no insurance to help them. So this isn't about the landlord. I think we should be thinking about the landlord. I'm thinking about the scenario where you're allowing this to happen, and I just can't see, I'm going to vote no on the bill, but I just can't see, unless we have a good answer on the insurance part, how we could ever let this bill get out of committee.
So I think that we're sort of mixing up two different sets of regulation. So the childcare regulations in the state already govern and regulate the insurance that the individual needs to carry for the purpose of childcare. This additional insurance that the landlord is allowed to require is specifically related to the property. The insurance that's required to run a childcare center is regulated by the state. And so the state has rules and regulations and consequences if a child care provider violates whatever the requirements are that they have. And all of that is still in place. And on top of it, as it relates to any damage to the possible building, this bill allows a requirement of additional insurance. But the insurance, if something happens to a child, is regulated out of the state's family child care regulations.
We'll start with Delegate Pippi and then Delegate Arentz, and then Bandari.
Was this bill amended? Was it amended? Yeah, okay. So does this bill still apply to an existing lease? Like, I think we had that discussion. So you lease your property out for a year or more, and there's rules in the lease. And then at some point in the lease, the tenant decides, I want to have a daycare business in your property. This bill would allow that even if it was an existing lease. Okay, all right, thank you.
Delegate Arentz?
I was going along that line. I'm just concerned, and I think we really try to look at these things a little differently than I would look at them. I don't think you should be able to impose somebody to take on a risk. And I know we talk about insurances and stuff, but there is still a risk should something majorly catastrophic happen. I just think we're killing landlords and putting them under a microscope because the damages that can be occurred, I understand there's insurances, but very few tenants get held accountable on that in the end because it's cheaper to get rid of them than it is to try to fight this thing in a court. I don't think it's anybody's right to inflict upon me the need to allow them to have a business of their own. I will be a no on the bill.
Delegate Bandari.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love this bill. The reason is given the 25% loss in licensed childcare slots since COVID, then particularly among family childcare homes, this bill both expands SAFE, as Madam Vice Chair explained, MSDE licensed childcare options for working families and women entrepreneurs, while still preserving landlord protections through notice requirements, additional deposit, inspection right, zoning compliance, and I believe it's close to $1 million liability coverage. And the tenant childcare operator is still responsible for obtaining liability insurance before operating the family childcare home. And if the tenant does not maintain the insurance, the bill requires the tenant to stop operating the childcare immediately until insurance coverage is restored. And I see there's a lot of protection, and this is a very good bill and timely bill.
Seeing no further discussion, there's been a motion in favorable and second on House Bill 543. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Buafo. Delegate Bandari. Delegate Rogers. Delegate Cheese excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Queen. Delegate Amprey. Delegate Adams. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose. Delegate Weigel. Delegate Roberts is excused. Chair votes aye. House Bill 543 passes 11. House Bill 618.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 618, Commercial Law Self-Storage Facilities Alterations. This bill prohibits continued use of a self-storage unit after a notice of non-renewal, requires at least 30 days to remove personal property, and mandates 10 days notice before property disposal. There are a couple amendments. One just adds disclosures, and the other conforms a date change to be in line with the Senate.
Amendments.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and a second on House Bill 618. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Buafo? Aye. Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers?
Yes.
Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
Yes.
Delegate Queen? Yes. Delegate Amprey?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. 16, House Bill 618 passes 16. 15, I'm sorry, 15.
All right.
House Bill 622.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 622, Maryland Cannabis Administration's licenses microdispensary employees and cannabis agent training programs. This bill increases the employment cap for microdispensaries from 10 to 20 employees and revises the responsible vendor training framework by altering the program name to cannabis agent training and removes mandatory components specific to dispensary operations. There was an amendment that amended the annual responsible vendor training requirement. It alters delivery sunset to 2027 and replaces employees with registered cannabis agent for clarity and consistency.
Move the amendment, so I don't think that has to separate. So move the amendment.
There's been a on the amendment, I'm sorry. No, I was looking at my question list. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing none.
Move the bill favorable as amended.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and a second on House Bill 622. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Buafo? Aye. Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Yes. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's? Yes. Delegate Queen? Yes. Delegate Amprey? Yes. Delegate Adams? Yes. Delegate Pippy? Yes. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? No. Delegate Roberts is excused.
Madam Chair.
House Bill 622 moves 14.
Sorry. Madam Chair, I'd like to hold House Bill 730 and House Bill 810.
So moved. House Bill 956.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 956, condominiums, buildings more than 40 years old. It's a study bill requiring DHCD to do a study on buildings in the state that are more than 4 years old and contain a condominium, and requiring the department to report its findings To the General Assembly on or before December 1st, 2026, there was an amendment. The bill is amended to require DHC to collect the data of age and income of residents in the study as averages instead of exact numbers in order to, for security reasons.
Move the bill favorable as amended.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and a second on House Bill 956. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Boifo? Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Yes. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
No.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams? No. Delegate Pippy? No. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval? No. Chair votes aye. House Bill 956 passes with 11. House Bill 993.
Smiling about this one. I wonder why.
Great sponsor.
I like the sponsor a lot too. She's amazing. House Bill 993. What this bill essentially does, it prohibits counties or municipalities from enacting a local law or ordinance that prohibits the offering of those who are leasing spaces to be able to sublease their spaces for short-term rental purposes. For clarity's sake, the bill does not prevent a landlord from stopping that from happening in their lease. It just makes it so that local municipalities and counties, they cannot ban it, but a landlord has a right to proceed with the lease as they would like to. But this just stops the localities from banning it, and there were no amendments.
Move favorable.
There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 993. Delegate Aaron's.
Quick question, does this affect HOAs banning short-term rentals?
I don't think so. This is a.
But it takes the county, and some counties are actually banning them. They're trying to ban them in neighborhoods.
So I know some cities, counties, I think my city has some certain serious restrictions on the use of short-term rentals. This is only applicable to leases. This is not applicable to the entire industry.
And
so
sublease.
if you are, this is just for leases. So so I think that the example is if a student, I think it's a good example, you release an apartment for an entire year, but you got to study abroad program for the summer. And there's summer classes at your university. You want to be able to lease out your space for that short-term rental, so this allows that space to be used. Otherwise, you have in a housing shortage, we have an empty space.
I'm not against the bill. I'm trying to, because this happens, I mean, we really have situations where an HOA forbids this, but if you're saying you're allowed to lease it, does that supersede what the HOA says?
So I'll defer to council, but my understanding of this, as written, the HOA would be the equivalent of a landlord having an agreement with the lessee that you can't do it. So the HOA is an agreement with, that's my understanding, if I'm understanding that right, council. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because you're better than me at this.
Can the realtor answer something? Can he answer that? Bill, do you know the answer to that? Ma'am, I'm sorry, madam. I'm sorry.
I think it's just municipalities.
Okay, so it doesn't, HOAs, they can do what they need. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 993. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Boifo? Aye. Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers?
Yes.
Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
Yes.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
No.
Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval?
Yes.
Delegate Roberts is excused. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. House Bill 993 passes 12.
HB 1008 allows for fiduciary institutions to delay or deny a suspicious transaction if they think it's related to some type of fraud. This is a consumer protection bill for seniors and vulnerable adults. No amendments. It was passed favorably.
There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 1008. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Buafo? Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen? Delegate Amprey? Delegate Adams? Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1008 passes 15.
HB 1049. Updates Maryland statutes so that members of a merging chartered state credit union can vote on the merger. Only the ones involved with that merger will be able to vote unless the commissioner provides other guidance. This is requested by the credit unions. It was favorable, no amendments.
Move favorable.
I have a question for the sponsor.
Sure. There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 1049. Delegate Pippy has a question for the sponsor who is not here.
Never mind that.
Okay.
He's not here virtually, Caleb.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair.
He's in Atlanta. Look at this guy.
Delegate Turner. Delegate Fennell. Delegate Pruski. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson. Delegate Buafo. Delegate Bandari.
Yes.
Delegate Rogers. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's. Delegate Queen. Delegate Amprey. Delegate Adams. Delegate Pippy. Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose. Delegate Wyval. Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1049 passes 15. House Bill 1172. There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 1172. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Buafo? Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Delegate Cheese excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen? Delegate Amprey? Delegate Adams? Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1172 passes 15. House Bill 1180.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1180, State Board of Architects, Grounds for Discipline Requirements. House Bill 1180 requires that the Board of Architects act against false or rule-breaking licensees and mandates officials to verify them. There were a couple amendments. The first one strikes word requirements and substitutes and anonymous complaints. The second amendment inserts that a board may establish an electronic portal to allow the anonymous and confidential reporting of a suspected violation, and also adds that a code official that reviews architectural documents for compliance with building code adopted under this subtitle shall verify with the architect who signed the documents.
Move favorable. Oh, sorry, yes. Favorable amendments.
There's been a motion of favorable with amendment. and seconded on House Bill 1180. Any discussion? Delegate Adams. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Boifo? Delegate Bandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Delegate Cheese excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen? Delegate Amprey? Delegate Adams? Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby's excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1180 passes 15. House Bill 1267.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1267 is a very forward-looking conservation bill that protects Patuxent Research Refuge and Bettsville Agricultural Research Center from future development. It ensures that if the federal government ever sells or transfers these lands, local zoning will keep them preserved as open space and conservation areas. There are amendments that strengthen the bill by defining central natural areas, prohibiting their conversion to other uses, and requiring a public hearing and consultation with DNR, Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and MDE, Maryland Department of the Environment, before any development could occur, ensuring these environmentally sensitive lands remain protected for future generations. There are, two amendments, yes.
Move the amendments.
Second.
All in favor of the amendments, say aye. Any opposition? Seeing none.
Move the bill favorable as amended.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and seconded on House Bill 1267. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Boifo? Delegate Bandari? Delegate Rogers? Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen? Delegate Amprey? Delegate Adams? Delegate Pippy? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1267 passes 15. House Bill 1346.
House Bill 1346 outlines expedited timeframes for processing documents with the State Department of Assessments and Taxation. It has amendments. One, to remove the 30-minute filing option, requires that a pre-clearance for the 1-hour processing option, and moves the effective date to 2028. Favorable with amendments.
Move the amendments.
Is there a second on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Seeing discussion. Delegate Pippy.
Just real quick, the, how is this changing whatever we're doing now?
Making things quicker to process.
And how is it doing that?
By us. Oh, sorry. By defining the timeframes when the state has to respond back.
Okay, so it's requiring the state to do it, or I should say, giving an option to do it in time, and then we're charging a fee for that?
Yeah, there's an expedited fee.
And was that fee not there before? So there was not a fee there before?
We're doing what other states do. Can I?
He can talk, yeah, this is Bill.
So this is the bill brought forward by the Maryland State Bar Association Business Law Section. So what this bill will do is it will allow us to have expedited fee processes. So in other states, if you're doing a transaction or you have something that needs to be same day, a lot of other states offer the opportunity for you to pay extra for you to be able to do that because it requires you to take people off other projects, and plenty of other states do it. And what's happening is we're actually could possibly be losing business because people are not incorporating here or not doing business here because they know that our state doesn't have an expedited process to do it. So again, you're not paying. It's not a higher fee. It's more of you're paying for a VIP service. So I look at it as like you know, you can get on an airplane, you can get a regular seat, but you can pay for first class. But we're not mandating you pay for first class. It's an option that businesses will now have to pay extra to be able to get an expedited service so that we can compete with other states in the region that already offer this.
Just curious, could they not have done this before?
So we brought this bill before, but there were cost issues around doing it, and it was going to possibly staffing issues around it. So the way that we did this bill, and then we had some amendments with SDAT. So now SDAT we couldn't move it before because SDAT couldn't really make it happen, but now they're able to make it happen with the amendments and by working with them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and a second on House Bill 1346. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Boifo? Delegate Bhandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers?
Yes.
Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
Yes.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1346 passes, vote 15.
HB 1355 outlines the framework for Maryland to issue and use stablecoin so that it conforms to the Federal Genius Act. It also outlines the OFR oversight on what the fees are for registration and licensing and the assessments. This had no amendments, favorable, no amendments.
There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 1355. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Boifo? Abstain. Delegate Bhandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Yes. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
No.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry? Yes. Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Yes. Delegate Weigel? Yes. Delegate Roberts is excused. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. House Bill 1355 passes by 13.
Okay, House Bill 1395. This is a bill that outlines the ways that we can make claims for warranty on agricultural equipment, what the remedy would be, as well as it lowers the penalty for issues related to the warranty. This was supported by the Ag Caucus, and it is favorable with amendments.
Move the amendments.
There was a motion to, I'm sorry, all in favor of the amendments, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There's discussion. Delegate Adams.
Was there any opposition on this bill?
I don't believe, let me check. I don't think so. I think everything was addressed with the amendments, whatever issues were there, but.
Okay.
Making sure.
I think the answer,
There's no.
okay, so the answer is there was none.
Yeah.
There's only informational. This is not right to repair.
No, this is not right to repair.
This is J. Jacobs. This is warranty. This is not homework. This is not good.
There's been a motion favorable as amended and seconded on House Bill 1395. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Yes. Delegate Fennell? Yes. Delegate Pruski? Aye. Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Aye. Delegate Boifo? Aye. Delegate Bhandari?
Yes.
Delegate Rogers? Yes. Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's?
Yes.
Delegate Queen?
Yes.
Delegate Ampry?
Yes.
Delegate Adams?
Yes.
Delegate Pippy?
Yes.
Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Weigel? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1395 passes 15. House Bill 1473.
73 establishes Maryland's Future Board within the Department of Commerce. It creates the Maryland's Future Fund to support the implementation of a long-term visionary economic development strategy for the state. There are no amendments, and I'll move favorable.
There's been a motion favorable and a second on House Bill 1473. Any discussion? Seeing none. Vice Chair?
Yes.
Delegate Turner? Delegate Fennell? Delegate Pruski? Delegate Howard is excused. Delegate Johnson? Delegate Boifo? Delegate Bandari? Delegate Rogers? Delegate Chi is excused. Delegate Aaron's? Delegate Queen? Delegate Amprey? Delegate Adams? Delegate Pippi? Delegate Crosby is excused. Delegate Rose? Delegate Wyval? Delegate Roberts is excused. House Bill 1473 passes with 15.
Move to re-refer House Bill 1616 to the Judiciary Committee.
There's been a motion re-referral. Is there a second? There's been a motion to re-refer House Bill 1616 to the Judiciary Committee and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none. House Bill 1616 will be re-referred to Judiciary. That is the end of the bills on our docket, colleagues. Do you have a comment? I just want to remind everybody that crossover is, the 23rd, so next week, just expect several voting sessions to occur. I don't know when or what time, but just be prepared. And then also, I don't believe they said it on the floor, but I can somewhat guarantee that we'll be in on the weekend, so just prepare for that as well. With that said, we are adjourned, and we will have bill hearings in 3 minutes. Okay, 5. Is that okay?